What's up, guys? Curtis Riggleman here. Hey, so today I just want to give you guys a little bit of wisdom I've learned along the way over the last 25 years of being in the car business and working commission job. I see a lot of times everybody that gets into a commission job has big dreams, big goals, and a big percentage of them along the way, they fall into what I call the just enough disease. And that's where you fall into this mentality where if I could just make 5,000, that's enough to pay all my bills and have a little extra and I'm good. That's just enough. And as long as you have that just enough mentality, you're never going to get ahead. It's going to be very, very hard to get ahead. You're constantly chasing your tail. And when you have that just enough mentality, you always feel like you're behind, because one bad week sets you behind. One bad month sets you really behind. And now you're stressed out. And everybody knows you don't sell when you're stressed. It's worse. It's a domino effect. So the first thing I could tell you, if you want to really be successful in sales, you got to drop this just enough attitude. There's never enough. You got into commission so you could have it all, not just enough. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with just enough job if that's what you want. It's just not a commission job. It's not the car business. You can do that. You can do a just enough job anywhere. So commission-based jobs are for more, not just enough. So right off the top, if you find yourself ever justifying not making an abundance of money, not making enough money to stack extra money, and you justify it by saying, oh, well, I got my bills paid, that's just enough, I'm good here. Stop. You fell into the just enough disease. You got to snap yourself out of that, or you're going to be in a rut race trap where you spin yourself in the car business, on the lot, always grinding and never getting nowhere. And that's, sadly, that's probably 80% of the salesmen out there, okay? So first off, check yourself. It's never enough, okay? Second thing, if you don't find a way to work that income, work that passive income, work that portfolio income, you're never going to get to the next level, okay? Because as you make and earn more money, your lifestyle and your expenses raise with it. So you always find yourself in the same amount of spending cash as what you had before. You have some nicer stuff. You have a nicer car. You got probably a nicer house, and you got some extra toys. Maybe you got a boat, motorcycle, so forth. But you don't have that extra cash, and you're not stacking chips. Okay, so first things first, stop with the just enough attitude, and then start setting goals where you could, I would say, to start out, you need to live on a 70-30 rule. 70% of what your net income is your living expenses and your disposable income. 30%'s got to get banked. If you're not banking at least 30% right off the top, you're not stacking enough chips to invest and start getting ahead. So your first goal, if you're not already doing it, you got to get to 10 grand. 10 grand allows you to work the 70-30 rule, okay? At 10 grand, you're going to net about 75. You can live off 5, and you can invest $2,500. $2,500 don't sound like a lot, but that's 30 grand a year. 30 grand a year, you could buy a piece of real estate. Okay, you can put a down payment on a piece of real estate. A lot of the stuff I've learned over the last 25 years have been through trial and error. If I had a mentor 25 years ago, I'd be so much fucking further ahead. Okay, but the one thing I did learn is you start small. Your first house, if you haven't bought one already, you're not going to buy your dream house right out of the gate if you want to really start growing your wealth. It needs to be a small shack, okay? Hopefully with just enough square footage. I would start with a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, because it's not the most desirable home, and you can usually get them a lot cheaper. But if you get one with enough square footage, maybe 1,200, 1,300 square feet, you can add a 3rd bedroom. And this only costs, you find a backyard contractor, I can get a 3rd bedroom added for about 5 or 6 grand. You're talking about putting up one wall, a closet, sheetrock it, paint it. You don't need to do electricity. If you're doing a large bedroom, you split it in half. You got electricity on both sides. Call it good. Okay? You're throwing up a 3rd wall, create a 3rd bedroom, so you could rent that house and move on to the next one. If you bought a dirt cheap 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and you added it to a third bedroom, in my area, that would rent for about $1,800. That's probably enough to have a small amount of cash flow, or at least break even. And breaking even is still making money when it comes to real estate because of all the tax advantages you get being on against your W-2 job. Start small there, okay? As long as you are upgrading a small amount of square footage or an additional bedroom, you can continue to buy your next home as a primary residence, which will only cost you 5% down. Okay, that don't take that long to add up. What is that? $400,000. You're talking $20,000. In most cases, you can negotiate the seller to pay all your closing costs. You could do one a year very easily, even on only netting $2,500 a month. There's lots of ways you can make this thing happen, okay? But if you don't start a program and start working your program, you're gonna find yourself chasing your tail. You're gonna find yourself spending all your extra money, always fucking broke, and then you fall into the just enough attitude where you justify just making enough to pay your bills and, hey, I'm good, I don't need to make that. Anyone who says that has already accepted defeat. They don't mean it. They just accepted defeat and they don't want to do more to gain more. Before you lock yourself into bills that you can't handle, start working your program. Start with a 70-30. At 10 grand, you can easily work to 70-30. If you're not making 10 grand, then you need to self-develop. You need to get better. You need to find somebody who is making 10 grand in commission and find out what they're doing and ask questions and get better. Because as soon as you start making 10 grand, then you got to start thinking 15. 10's not enough either. Then you got to start thinking 15. At 15, you can increase your savings. You can still work the 70-30 because your lifestyle is going to go up too. Trust me, it just does. Once you get to 20, now you have to shift to the 50-50. At 20 grand, you should be able to save 50% of your net income and live off 50%. You'll probably be living off $7,500. That's still a decent amount of money to live off of. That still affords you a nice place, nice car, some extra spending cash, but you have to be disciplined. If wealth is what you're going after, okay? There's not a commission job that I know of that you're going to get wealthy just on the commissions alone. It's what you do with those commissions that get you to the next step. It's how you create that passive and that portfolio income that will get you to the next step. If you just started with this program, you bought one home a year and only broke even on it and continue to do that in 10 years, you'd be a multimillionaire. You'd be a multimillionaire in just real estate alone. At the rate houses are doubling every 10 years right now, it's incredible. You'd be a multimillionaire in 10 years alone, and you'd be so happy you did it versus another salesperson that you've known for 10 years in the car business in the exact same rut that they were in 10 years ago, okay? Do me a favor, guys. Do not fall into that just enough trap. That will cripple you. You'll never get anywhere. You're wasting your fucking time in the car business if you have a just enough attitude. Either check yourself, get out of that disease, or go get just enough job. But if you're gonna do sales, go all the way.